If you're moving to St. Johns County for the schools, and let's be honest, there are a lot of you, there's one thing that trips up almost every relocating family, and it has nothing to do with test scores. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how school zoning works here, what's changing as this county continues to grow, and the one big mistake that a lot of relocating families make. By the way, I'm Karen Terrell, and I help relocating families just like yours every week who are moving to Ponte Vedra Beach, Nocatee, and the surrounding areas. I'd love to help you too. The best way to reach me is by calling me at 904-822-9123 or booking an appointment using the link below. You'll find everything you need in the description. And stay tuned because I'll be walking you through the single biggest mistake relocating families make with school zoning before they ever even write an offer, and the one question you should ask before you tour a single house. Let's start with why you're even considering this county in the first place. St. Johns County consistently ranks among the top performing school districts in the state of Florida. And for a huge share of the families I work with, it's not just a factor in the move, it is the reason for the move. More than beaches, more than lifestyle, the schools come first, and everything else sort of gets built around that decision. That's a good instinct, but it's also where the confusion usually starts because most people assume St. Johns County Schools is one big uniform thing, and it's not. Zoning here is address specific, not just neighborhood wide. That means that two homes, quarter of a mile apart, sometimes, but rarely even next door to each other, depending on where a boundary line might fall, could be zoned to two completely different elementary schools. This trips up so many relocating families. Here's how it actually works. You've got a feeder pattern, elementary to middle, middle to high school, and that feeder pattern is tied to the specific parcel number, not just the subdivision name and not the zip code. If a listing says it's zoned for a particular school, you need to verify that. Don't take it at face value and don't take a friend's word for it either, even if they live nearby. The only reliable source is checking the exact address directly against the district's current zoning map. Now, here's the part that makes this a little bit more complicated than it used to be. St. Johns County is one of the fastest growing counties, as I mentioned, in the entire state of Florida. That growth is good, and a lot of good things come with it. New schools, facilities are being built, capacity is expanding to keep up with demand. But it also means that rezoning happens. Boundaries that were in place not long ago aren't guaranteed to remain in place. And in some cases, they've shifted mid search for families I've worked with, or even after they've closed on a home. Now, that's not meant to scare you. It's just meant to explain why verification matters so much here, more than it would in maybe a slower growing area. If you're looking for more flexibility than your zoned school offers, there are options. St. Johns County has magnet and school choice programs, including International Baccalaureate and STEM tracks at certain schools. And families can apply to these outside of their school zone. Now, the application windows and requirements do vary, so that's something you'll need to research early on if you are considering this route. There's also a solid private school landscape in our area for families who might be weighing public versus private. Of course, I'm not going to steer you one direction or another, but it is worth knowing that the options exist and researching them in parallel with your public school zoning research. A few pockets come up constantly in conversations with relocating families, specifically core Ponte Vedra Beach, Nocatee, and Palm Valley. I'm not going to rank schools for you, and honestly, they change over time, but these areas are where I get the most specific questions and where it's especially important to verify zoning address by address. Because honestly, these are also some of the fastest growing and most rezoned pockets in the county. So here's the mistake that people make, and it's the one I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Families tend to fall in love with the house first, the layout, the yard, the price, and only afterward do they find out that the zoning isn't what they assumed, or perhaps that it's changed since the listing was last updated. So by the time you're emotionally attached to a home, that's the worst moment to discover a zoning surprise. But the fix is pretty simple. Verify the exact zone schools for the exact address before you do a tour. Every single time, even if it's in a neighborhood you already know well. So, wherever you land in your search, if schools are an important piece of your decision making process, the smartest move is verifying zoning before you fall in love with a house, not after. If you'd like help mapping out neighborhoods, schools, and maybe figuring out your timeline, that's exactly what I do every week. You can call or text me at 904-822-9123 or connect with me using any of the links in the video description below.